Laurence, do you think helping out at a company like Flybe, which obviously saves a lot of jobs as well, is commensurate with helping resolve the climate crisis? We heard David Attenborough talking today about the moment of the climate crisis is now.
I think people will probably do what's cheapest, won't they? So it depends whether flying or the train is cheaper. And, you know, I'm not so against flying, sorry.
I mean, obviously as an actor, you have to fly all over the place.
Yeah, the carbon footprint's huge, but we make up for it by preaching to everyone how they should change their life.
Lawrence, what's your view on it all?
Sussex Royal. I feel sorry for them in a way, because it's difficult when you've got a new baby and all of that, and it's hard. But I just have this feeling that surely Harry must have had a chat to Meghan at some point and said, by the way, darling, this is going to be misery, and you don't have to marry me if you don't want to. And then,
well, maybe they did.
Yeah, maybe they did. But then, you know, and then you want to hop out. It's like, well, you know, can we have the cottage back and your HRHs?
So you think they're doing the wrong thing? Do you think it's disrespectful?
I don't. I think it's really unfair because, look, we've got the Queen, who is an extremely different ballgame, isn't she? You know, she's duty ahead of everything else. And I think, you know, when you're younger, you do want to make a life for your family. So I do empathise with them. But I do think there's a little bit of having cake and eating it, which I don't enjoy.
OK. Yes, the woman there, stuck your hand right up.
The problem we've got with this is that Meghan has agreed to be Harry's wife, and then the press have torn her to pieces. And let's be really clear about what this is. Let's call it by its name. It's racism. She's a black woman, and she has been torn to pieces.
You can't.
She has been torn to pieces.
It's not racism.
It absolutely is.
We're the most tolerant, lovely country in Europe. Let's celebrate our women. It's not racism. It's so easy to throw the charge of racism at everybody, and it's really starting to get boring.
What worries me about your comment is you are a white privileged male who has no experience in this.
I mean, can I
I
just...
can't help what I am. I was born like this. It's an immutable characteristic. So to call me a white privileged male is to be racist. You're being racist.
You cannot dismiss.
OK. I'm not taking a view either way. I'll just add in that Priti Patel, the Home Secretary, also took the view that it wasn't racism. I'm not making a judgment on that either way. Lawrence, did you want to come back in before I go?
Yeah, I think that it's one of the dangerous things about throwing racism around in this country, which we're doing a lot at the moment, is people become so conscious of it that things like the Manchester grooming scandal get ignored. So that, you know, we need to be careful that we need to call out racism when it's seen, when it's obvious and when it's there, and we should stand together to condemn it. But for fear of sounding racist, there's been horrific things have happened in Manchester and in towns all over the north of England, and we should be careful and use racism when it's there and it's obvious, and not call someone racist just because they don't agree with you.
But racism is a bit more serious. The idea that there is no racism in Britain is quite a serious issue, and it goes beyond...
No one
debate.
No one said there's no racism.
Maggie, what's your view on this, Lawrence? What to expect from well, the trains, which I certainly on news, I've talked on many 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock newses about the state of the railways, but also in terms of what Liverpool, what the North can expect from a Conservative government.
I mean, I don't know, I'm not a politician, but I don't at all resonate with what he said about Liverpudlians being victims. I worked here a couple of times, and it's like most cities in the North, so much nicer received by the much nicer people than you will ever bump into in London, ever.
Lawrence. Which Labour candidate, if any, do you believe can reconnect with lost voters in the North?
Who should replace Magic Grandpa? Keir Starmer?
That's original.
Keir Starmer?
Keir Starmer gets your vote, would he? And why Keir?
He just looks like he can take Boris on quite well. Do you know what I mean? That's what I get vibe.
You don't think any of the 4 women would be...
Oh, it's not about women. Jeepers creepers. Sorry.
So I just was interested in your view.
Let me rewind. Any of the women. Is that better? Any woman. Because it's really important what gender you are or sex you are rather than what your policies are and how you approach politics. Come on.
Lawrence?
as somebody very close to me has just been on the E end of A&E, and they were in straight away and were treated in absolutely wonderfully. I mean, so I just am so grateful for the National Health Service. But, you know, if someone in the A end of it, the accident part of it...
Well, an accident can be an emergency.
It can be. I don't know. Yeah, keep targets, why not? But I think the NHS, when you really need them, is incredible.